Hello boys and girls, it's Miss Hall here. I wanted to make a quick video to show you how to make some of these pop art letters that we're going to be using for our pop art project coming up. So what I'm going to do is on my fresh piece of paper, I'm going to show you how to do a full name. And then once this demo is done, at the end I'm going to go through each letter of the alphabet, just in case you're like, how should I do this one particular letter? I'm going to show you how to do it. So for this project, you are going to need a pencil, you are going to need a Sharpie, and maybe also a thick Sharpie as well, depending on how you'd like this to look for you. Yes, I do have orange paint on my hands. I have paint on me all the time. It's my life. So let's talk about how to do this. The first step is to just start by writing your name nice and big. You don't need to be really crazy about it. I'm going to write my first name. Notice that you want to make sure you leave a little bit of space in between your letters because they're going to get bigger when you go over them. So all I did was just really lightly write my entire name, right? You want to make sure that you do it light so then that way when you go back and erase it later, when you're done with it, that it will be easy to erase. So once we go from here, now we want to turn these into block letters. So what I'm going to do is draw a fence around each one of my letters. I'm making sure that when I get to a corner, I'm going to make it a really sharp corner because I want to have lots of corners to work with. You want it to be really sharp and dynamic because these are pop art letters. I'm tracing a fence around each one of my letters, and if we make a mistake, it is not a big deal. They're not all in the same line. That's okay. It makes them look more dramatic. Just drawing a fence around my letters and inside of my R. So now what you've got are just normal block letters, and what you can do is you can actually go back in and erase your letters that you started with just to give you a nice clean slate. What you can have left behind are block letters. Panic for a second, I thought I spelled my name wrong. Alright, so once you are done erasing your letters and what you are left with are block letters, your next step is to start to make these look 3D and like pop art. So what I want to do from here is I'm actually going to really quickly just trace over these in Sharpie so that they're nice and easy to see. I chose to use the thick Sharpie for this one. I wanted a really nice big bold line. You could choose to use the thin Sharpie if that's what you'd rather use. And if as I'm going through I notice I made a mistake, I'll just, if I made a mistake with the pencil, like how I have a big curvy line right here, I'll just straighten it out with my Sharpie. I choose to do my eyes this way, just as a straight line. If you'd rather do them the other way where they have all of the bells and whistles on them, you can certainly do that. Alright. So now I've got my block letters and I am ready to turn them into some 3D pop art letters. I'm going to do this with my Sharpie. You should do this with your pencil. I'm just going to do this with Sharpie so that you can see a little bit more easily. So from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to make short diagonal lines going from my corner. So I'm going to go diagonal, diagonal, right? And I don't have a corner right here, so I'm going to leave that alone. I want to stick to just one side of my letter because what's going to happen is now from the diagonal line, I'm just going to trace the shape. And now I've got a 3D shape, so I'll do the same thing here, diagonal, diagonal. And I'm just going to trace along that edge. Connect them together. One more time, I'm going to keep going. Diagonal, diagonal. All going the same direction, very important. I'm just going to trace along that edge. And then I've got my pop art. Jennifer, ta-da! If you wanted to add some fun big shapes on the outside of it, you could totally do that. You can add some color to it. And then you've got your pop art name. Pretty easy. So from here, boys and girls, I am going to go through and do each letter of the alphabet. That way, in case you're not quite sure about a particular letter, you can go through and follow along. You'll notice that when I get to a curve, I sort of just trace that curve up to meet it. Whew.